some of the questions are going to be for everyone. I'll ask you, like each of you directly, but it's going to be the same one. Some of them are going to be a little different, and we'll go from there. Okay, I think we're live right now. First of all, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for your time to participate in this webinar. We will just talk about current situation, which worries most of us, as citizens and as water polo lovers as well. So discussion about the Olympic Games, and what comes before and what do you expect, and those are going to be mostly topics, for today's session. First of all, let's start with you, Arno. How are you doing? How is everything in Holland? How is the situation in Holland? How is the training going over there? If there is any training, games and such. You're muted, I think, Arno.
Yes, better. Sorry. The situation is getting better in the Netherlands. The numbers of infections are going down, but slowly. The last period, they canceled the championship, so there were only 2 games played in our first league. So there are no games. The pools they were closed for a few weeks, and now they reopened. But the clubs, they have to practice in groups, in bubbles of 4 people. So it's really complicated to make a good preparation for hopefully games again in January. For us, for the national team, it's a different situation. We have a national training center, and our government, they have appointed a few of the national facilities for our athletes, international athletes, who can practice at these facilities. So we have the opportunity to train, and we are preparing now the Olympic qualification tournament in January. And it's difficult because we had a long last period was insecure, was unsure if the Olympic qualification will be held in January or May, or sometimes there was even they were even thinking the players that it might not be played. So it was difficult to keep the players motivated. But now the last week there was a Fina meeting, and it looks like that in January, 17th of January, we'll start the Olympic qualification tournament. So there is a goal nearby now. So and we are preparing that. So situation is getting better, but was a tough year. We played our last international game was in February in Hungary. So until now we didn't play any game.
Yes, that is likely the situation in all of the world. There are a few countries, who are playing national championships. I would say lucky ones, at this moment. But that is the struggle, for everyone, for sure. I'm glad to hear that was one of my questions for you later on. I'm glad to hear that you heard from Fina and that qualification tournament will happen. Can you tell us more about that? What was the memo about? Like just the main points. Is the qualifications going to happen in Trieste, in Italy? Did they change the dates? And those kind of things.
No, the dates are still the same, 17 till 24 of January in Trieste in Italy. I think New Zealand, they withdraw their participation, so they're not there. For the rest, there are, as far as I know now, 9 teams competing. The Fina meeting was more about the protocols, the way they want to organize, they need to organize the tournament. It was about testing 72 hours before the tournament starts, before arrival. You have to be tested and of course negative. And then when you arrive, there will be a test with the first result. And then again, after 4 or 5 days, there will be a test again. And all the teams have to stay in a bubble in the hotel. Everything will be secured there. And there's one thing to do. That's the road to the pool and back to the hotel. And that's the only thing you can do in that week. But of course, everybody understands, and this is necessary to organize this tournament and for everybody to play this tournament and to have the opportunity to qualify for Tokyo.
That is good. That is really good, to hear. When I was talking with most of water polo people around the world, there is a fear that if we don't play games, that our sport will, disappear as any other sport, not just our, but any other. So this is a good thing. This is really good to hear, and let's hope that this qualification tournament will happen. So there is a month and a half left, and as we know. Lots of things can change. Did your federation book the tickets yet? Logistics?
No, at the moment, we are looking for the best situation for ourselves. We want to stay in a bubble a few days before, a week before the tournament. We can do this on our own national training center. We are not sure yet if we want to travel by plane or by bus to Trieste. It's pretty far, but it's possible. But as it looks now, we can fly, and we didn't book yet, but we are now planning the next 6 weeks, and especially the last 10 days before the final 10 days before the tournament. And our team doctor is really involved, of course. He is in charge of all this COVID-19 situation, and we will make our decisions in the next weeks.
Okay, that's great. One more question. When we're on that subject, how many times a week is your national team practicing right now?
Now we practice almost every day, except Sundays. But the thing is, we have the possibility to train every day now. We have the players. We had 5 players playing in Spain. They arrived last Sunday back in the Netherlands. They are now in quarantine, and it's planned that they will join the group next Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we can start the full preparation for the qualification tournament. The thing was, the last months is that you prepare, or you want to train every day, but to train without a goal, it's difficult. The group was about 9 players. We had a few injuries. Sometimes somebody was in quarantine, so we were with a small group. So we skipped a few times the water training, and we replaced it for some other things. We did some outdoor swimming when the weather was still good here. We did some running. We did mountain biking. We tried to change a few things in our schedule, but from now on we can prepare full time for January.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Arno. Adam, how's it going, Adam? Great seeing you. So same questions for you. How's the situation in the States? How's the situation in California with your team? everything we discussed. We would just like to find out a little more, like from each country if possible, like, and present
Yeah.
it, to the people to see that they're not alone in this situation, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we're all, I guess if there's a positive, there's not too many positives in this, but I guess the one positive is that we're all going through this together. This isn't isolated to one country or just a few countries. Everyone's having to deal with this, and for us, as everyone knows, our country is large, right? So it depends on where you are in our country. It kind of depends on maybe the severity of it, or but it's been a roller coaster, I think, for every even state within our country. There are certain parts to our country, not very many, but there are certain parts in which you may see a little bit of club activity and pools are open, and you're able to do some things more than the rest of the country. But for the most part, most of the country, and especially here in California, things are just getting worse and worse. Cases are rising. Pools have most pools have been shut down. If pools are open and teams are able to do something on a club level or high school level or college level, it is very minimum, usually non-contact. So a lot of swimming and possible skill work without any contact. Our high schools have been, our scholastic systems, or our high schools have been shut down. Everyone's doing distance learning, so learning at home, and there are no seasons. Everything just keeps getting postponed. Even high school and our college, our university system keeps getting postponed until, hopefully sometime in 2021, those teams and those universities can have a season, and we can begin some club stuff happening within USA water polo in 2021. But for us on a national team level, we came back. Our last game was actually, ironically, with Arno's team in February. So it's crazy that that's been 9 months. We haven't played a game. We came back and started a little bit of training in July and part of August, but it was not non-contact, really just in small groups for an hour and a half, very, very little. We took a little bit more time off in September, and we've been training since the end of September, which we're really fortunate that we train on a military base. I was saying before we went live, that it has been very kind to us and allows us to use the pool. But the training hasn't been normal training. Our kind of schedule right now is like we're training 5 days a week, no weekends. 2 of those days, Mondays and Wednesdays, are just one practice a day with no contact, and those are the days in which we test as well. So we test twice a week, and then we try to come back Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays and have double day practices, a morning and an afternoon session with some contact. It's worked out well for us. I mean, it hasn't been ideal, certainly not the best in terms of training for an Olympic Games, but it's been sufficient. But we've had little bumps in the road, like I'm sure everyone has. We've had, the pool has gotten shut down before. We've had some scares in which we thought maybe some people were positive, that we've had to shut it down, or the testing situation here is getting better. But in the beginning was awful. I mean, we would get a test and we wouldn't find out for sometimes 7 to 8 days what the result is, which is essentially pointless. But those scares at times have forced us to not be able to train as much, or maybe go a week or 2 without any contact. And so it's been a roller coaster ride. And we were planning to go to Greece and Hungary. I was supposed to go to Budapest in 5 or 6 days from now, and unfortunately yesterday we had to cancel because we got some scares within the team, and the cases have just continued to rise. So hopefully after the Christmas and New Year holiday, we'll come back and things will be a little bit improved, and we'll get back to some type of normalcy in 2021.
Yes, difficult situation for sure. You're fortunate that you can practice in that military pool, which is great, really, really great. So it is me being there, quite a few times. It is kind of a bubble on its own.
It is.
Yeah. So, but that's really amazing. Do you know by any chance which states allow some kind of water polo currently at the moment?
Yeah, it's funny being here in California. You hear about even not just in water polo, but in other sports. You hear of people going to Arizona to have some soccer or football competitions, or baseball or water polo. Utah, in a water polo sense, Nevada and Utah. It seems like they're doing a little bit more. I don't know the specifics of it.
A little bit of Texas.
A little bit of Texas is as well. But I think again, I think so much of it also just depends on the county that you live in. Like I live in Los Angeles County. We're in a stay-at-home order right now. So like they're shutting down all the restaurants and but when I go to practice, we practice and train in Orange County, which is they're a little bit more relaxed, but we're nervous that we're kind of heading in that direction there as well.
Right. Yeah, and that's another question for you. How much, if any, help and understanding are you getting being Olympic team coach? How much of understanding are you getting, from let's say municipality or county, or the state government or federal government, or like any of that? Is the USOC trying to help? I'm sure US water polo is trying to help as much as they can, but they're not really in charge of municipalities and the pools and everything else. But can somebody else help, and do you have any help from them?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that may be a little bit different for us compared to, I want to speak for other countries, but at least my perception is that there's a little bit more of a connection between their athletic teams and the government, whereas in our case, there's no connection whatsoever. I mean, we never hear from anyone outside, and this even applies to all of our funding, even for our, going outside of the coronavirus. All of our funding, we don't receive any funding from the government. It's all within USA Water Polo or the USOPC. So we hear nothing from them. We've definitely been in contact with the USOPC, and they've kind of laid out some guidelines and helped us follow some protocols and things. But for the most part, it's USA Water Polo and the staff that we have, just relying on the resources and the people that we know within the medical world to try to create the best situation for us and the smartest and safest situation for us. And we've learned a hell of a lot through this process, because we've kind of had to come up, and I give a huge shout out to just like my medical team who really has done this on their own to try to come up with like the right protocols and situation. We haven't gotten much guidance, and I don't expect that to change. We're kind of on our own, and that part's been frustrating, because I think the way the government looks at things here is they like to just make a blanket statement over everyone. Even in the beginning, it's like, opening up pools to allow swimming to happen, which is, in my opinion, super safe, without any contact. It was like they were comparing that to, say, playing basketball outside and against each other. I mean, there's no comparison. Or in playing basketball indoors, like 5-on-5, sweating, breathing in each other's faces, versus swimming in chlorine, just doing laps. So that part has been frustrating. And I don't know if that will change moving forward.
Thank you, Adam. We'll come back to you definitely. Dan, how's it going, Dan? We good to have you. Good to have you on this call. As I understand, you're in Serbia right now, in Belgrade. How long have you been there for? What is the situation with your team? What is the situation in Serbia with water polo? You know, like in all this COVID issue.
Hello everyone. So nice to see you, Dragan, and everyone else. So I'm currently in Belgrade, but I'm also in the States. You know, you asked me last question what's going on in Serbia right now. Currently, you know, the championship is going on. You know, they get some cases, so they postpone some games. You know, but the championship is going on. So the numbers are like everywhere in the North Hemisphere is going up. So, you know, should be some more restriction in upcoming days, but I'm not expecting that will be effects on negative effects of the sports in Serbia. I think that sport should be allowed to continue to have their own championship. Doesn't matter which sport we are talking about. So that's current situation. For us, for our men's team, you know, it's probably every heard, you know, we have right now 18 players, you know, who are playing in Europe. So majority of them, 12 of them are playing in Greece. So in Greece, situation is that the government issued some lockdown last 3 weeks, and we are expecting the end of this week that they probably, what I'm hearing right now, that they're gonna leave some events and allow the teams to resume their championship. Greek clubs are allowed to play, you know, in EuroLeague and Eurocup competitions, and they are practicing normal, you know. So we will see. You know, we are not like anyone. You know, we are not in the ideal situation, but we are not in a bad situation. So we were, you know, when we were in States and everything started, you know. So we, as Martin said, you know, before, you know, we had the issue with the pool, finding the pool. So, you know, so right now, you know,
even as a national team, you had the issue to find a pool.
Yeah, Adam said, you know, he knows more better than me, but you know, it's just depends on the country or the country, you know. So our pool, which we used the last 2 years in Torrance, was in LA County, so was hit immediately with the harder restrictions. So we will not be able to, you know, to practice, you know, for sure more than, let's say, 3 months for sure. And after that, with the full support from USA Water Polo, especially from John, doing everything, we secure one pool, you know, to start practicing in the middle of July in Orange County, you know, and that was amazing, you know. So even if we didn't have the, you know, the far away from the full roster, you know, we have only, depends on the day, 9 to 11 players. So without contact, but it was after the 3 months, that was amazing, you know. So, you know, it's, I think that right now we are in the, let's say, high red zone, but I'm expecting, you know, that this situation will continue probably until the Christmas, maybe the New Year, but after that, I'm seeing that everything will be much, much easier for everyone, you know, and we will go probably in some, I'm hoping some more relaxed mode, that everybody will be allowed to practice whenever they are.
Yes, we're all hoping for that, definitely. So you mentioned that you couldn't find a pool in California for your national team, and you mentioned that you have 18 players in Europe currently. Is that the reason that you have all team pretty much more or less in Europe, or you planned that before? You know, it's Olympic year. However long this year is, it's Olympic year, you know. So we just want to find out, like if that was planned or if that was just circumstances.
That was plan C, which will work out currently. Plan A was different, the main one. Plan B was something in the mix, and right now we're doing plan C. So right now we have prepared some program for upcoming months. As I said, right now, as we did for the summer, we had 2 options. Now the third option comes up and play out. So it's I think that was a great thing that we respond, and including the staff, including the players, and we were a little bit lucky, I must say this, because we start to try to find the clubs for the players beginning of July, which is pretty much too late. But right now I'm proud that the majority of the group understood the critical of the situation, and they're focused to be prepared much as they can for Olympics, and I think that we are in pretty much good shape. Consider where we were in May, June, thinking about what can happen and what we should do. So I think right now, for sure, I'm obviously honest. I was thinking that we will have at least, before everything starting with COVID, I was thinking that we will have for sure, because that will going to help us 6 to 8 players abroad, and then everything was starting to close down and shut down. So I was thinking that no one going to go, that no one going to be able to go. And now we have, as I said, 18. So we did, Adam mentioned that last game for the girls was against Dutch team, in 9-10 months ago. Our last game was against Australia in January in Brisbane. So after that, only we did with majority of the group some common practice 5 days with the Greek team, in October, this year. So that was great, and we were hoping that we could do that in November, but unfortunately numbers come up, and we are hoping that everything will play out as we planned, for plan A. But we are prepared. Unfortunately, experience teach us, and this is from the past, that we should be ready from not just from plan B or from plan C, or we should be ready from plan D. So we will see what's going to happen.
Yes, that is so true, especially in the last 9-10 months. Many plans need to be in a place for everyone. You mentioned something about the shape, and you say that you feel you're in way better shape than back in, I don't know, March, April, May, June this year. How do you? I'm sure that you're in contact, with other of your colleagues around the world and following water polo, and where they're playing, and where they're not playing, and national championships, everything else. How do you see the shape and current situation of your team in comparison to the rest of the world that will be at the Olympics, let's say?
I just know right now, current situation, us and maybe the Greek national team, because this is what I saw last in October. Anything else, anyone else, I really don't know. I think that it's my honest question about that. I'm just hoping what we knew before, how something's going to open and play out. But honestly, I really don't know. I watched some games, and I'm watching some games in the European championships, for national teams, for clubs competitions. And, I watched this qualification for the EuroLeague 2 weeks ago, and I think it's everyone right now are in the, let's say, in a state of the emergency, and everybody's hoping that tomorrow will be much better than yesterday. So honestly, I don't know, but I think that this Olympic Games will be, biggest question mark, for everyone before we arrive. I don't think how much we will be able to play the games before that. So, as Arno said, now they're going to Italy without any games. So not probably, for sure, that never happened before for him. So so we will see. We will see. We are positive, and as Adam said, our medical staff are doing a great job. Staff is trying to secure everything what is needs necessary for the players. We are in, let's say, I cannot say on daily contacts, but every 48 hours in contact with each of the players and some of their coaches. I think, as for sure, we are much better situation than we were in May and June, because in May and June we just did some analyzing the video games via Zoom. We did some workout, dry workouts via Zoom. We did some psychology meetings and like that, like everyone did, So, but right now I'm happy that majority of our players return back to the Polo. This is the most important thing.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Elvis, how is everything in Australia, down under?
Hi everyone. Good morning. And the situation here, from the health point of view, is really good. It's really good, and no new cases for you can say now for a couple of weeks. And from that point of view, probably Australia is in the best position compared to my colleagues. And from the next week, as I mentioned before in our conversation, from the first time since March, all the states in Australia will be reopened. So from next week, I think Perth, from the first time, will be able to travel to Perth without the quarantine and special exemption. So, which is really, really great for us. But we were also in the same situation like all of them during this 6-7 months before. We're not able to train. Also, we done similar things with the Zoom training, Zoom meeting with the players, and we can say that maybe from September that we started to work a little more often. Probably for us is the other issue that, as Dejan mentioned, last our international game was in January against them in Brisbane, and we don't know when we'll be able to have some international game especially compared to Europeans, because as we can see, especially in the men's side, majority of this top water polo country, they play their national league and even that European competitions. And here we just discussing when we should start with the national league. Is that going to be some format of one tournament in the April, or we're going to play like a round system? But at least some states like New South Wales and Queensland, Western Australia, they play some state competition, which is like level probably lower than the majority of the national leagues, but at least the players have something. The issue for us is that we didn't have a chance to spend time with all of the players. So, for example, from January, we didn't have a chance to see all our players. Probably is a big question mark when we'll be able to see our 3 players playing in Europe. And potentially that could happen, hypothetically, that could happen in Tokyo. But I'm really hoping that we'll have a chance to see them before, depending how that national leagues in Europe and how the European competition will go ahead. Because we know that everyone has their own schedule, but we also witnesses that there is so many postponement of the game and the other things. So that's one of the things. And but for us as a team, I think that we are, as Dan mentioned as well, that we are in the better moment now than a couple months ago. And if everything will be according to our plans, then probably from January we will have majority of the players who are not in Europe. So that means that Joe Case, who is at the moment, he's in New Zealand and he's there from March, and Rhys Howden, who is in Queensland, that he will be able to come more often to spend time with us. And on that way, we will start, hopefully we will start a little more serious with the preparation. And probably in that time will also be some state competition. So at least the players will have some kind of the games, but we know that for all of us, it's hard to know where you are at some certain stage without international games. So definitely we already, I think, changed 4 or 5 plans, and we have at this stage we have 2 different approach to the training till the Olympic year. One is till the Olympic Games in Tokyo. One is if you'll be all the time in Australia, and the other one is according to the situation that we'll be able to go overseas and play international games with the other teams.
So lots of uncertainty all over the world. Definitely, as we can see, like from all 4 of you, the message is pretty much the same. It's uncertainty, and the frustration. But yes, health situation in Australia, as you mentioned, is amazing. We'll see what the cost is of that, but I guess, this is the first time, we are facing this kind of issue, so no one really knows what is the right way, to handle the situation. We all think we know, but I don't think we do. You mentioned something about the a few countries, I would say European countries, having national championships and playing games. Basically, I would say more or less from May or June on. Is that some of the countries, doing the previous season finishing or starting new season or doing a cup, or something like that. So, question comes: how much of disadvantage do you think this situation is, and who for?
Well, definitely we can say that it's advantage if you're playing the game, especially if you have that strong competition. There is definitely a couple of very strong leagues, and even this format now in the Champions League, when more like a tournament format, is something which helping to the players, to at least to think about water polo sense and to play games, because that's the crucial thing. But again, I would like to say that this is like unusual situation for all of us, and all of us just need to find what's the best solution in condition that we have. So this is not normal situation. So again, even in our conversation with the players, if we have to stay in Australia all the time, then we will try to do the best as we can here. And then, then we just don't want to have any kind of regret when we come to Tokyo if we done this. So I'm quite optimistic, and I really believe that the situation will progress on better with the beginning of the next year, and that we will have a chance even to have some more international opportunity to play, or to play someone overseas, or maybe to host someone. But again, it's impossible to predict how and when that's going to happen.
Definitely. Arno, you're out of this group of 4 coaches, 4 national team coaches. You're in a unique situation where your team still didn't qualify. Everybody else qualified for the Olympics. So naturally, the frustration of this whole situation and lack of the games must be much higher, than everybody else. Everybody else has a few more months, to prepare, for the frustration and and everything else to Tokyo. So we heard about disadvantage. What do you think about the advantages? What are the advantages that you can find, from this situation? Are there any for you and for your team in this situation?
Yes. we had a few players, they struggled a little bit with some injuries. So they had some more time to recover, and they are practically ready to start now training. We had also a few young players who were getting into the team, who were fighting for a spot. They had a little bit more time for this. So I think if you look at our total group of 20 players, there's much more concurrence in the team now, and I think this is positive. But yeah, the things that you can play games, like Elvis said, it's almost impossible to find somebody to play against, or to host somebody, or to go somewhere. That's a big disadvantage, and I think the teams that can play games, they are better prepared, probably better prepared than others. But the advantage is the time. We want some time for other things, and also we didn't qualify in Hungary in January during the European Championships. And the qualification tournament was 2 months later, 6 weeks after that. So you never know. We have a bad experience in 2016, same situation. So maybe also this is not. I cannot. Well, we don't know. We think, but. This might also be good for us that it wasn't directly after the Europeans, and we could be better prepared, but the lack of games is different. It's totally different.
Yes, that's definite. When Adam, when we were looking at the like geography, like a water polo, and we know that. Obviously, more games are played in Europe, and we're not going into that right now. But it's something we all know. Based on the current situation, do you see this as an advantage to level up? Like maybe with Europe, like because right now you don't have games. Like most of Europe also don't have the games. Like is that an advantage?
I'm sure the rest of Europe hopes it's an advantage. I don't know. I think it's really difficult to say. I try not to get caught up in that. I think Elvis said it well, and that and Dejan as well, and that even in Europe, it seems like every situation is a little bit different, and what they're able to do. And we can only control what we can control. I would, if I had to, if I had to really say an answer on it, I would say probably, yeah. I mean, we haven't had a game in 10 months, but a lot of the Europeans also haven't had necessarily a game. I mean, some of them have been able to play some club games, but the one advantage I do think that we have, if we use it to our advantage, is that I have a talented squad. I'm very lucky and fortunate to have a group of really talented players. So if our training is at the level that it should be, but probably always isn't, then we can take advantage of the players that we have to try to make things as competitive and as intense as possible to try to push development. But the tough thing is like when you're thinking about advantages and disadvantages, certain countries may have an advantage, but all it takes with this virus is one thing to happen, and all of a sudden you're at a disadvantage. It frightens me for people like Arno and all the teams that are going to try to qualify on the women's and men's side. I mean, I look through a little bit of those Fina guidelines and stuff, and if you have a group of players, I think if I understand it correctly, like 3 or 4 players test positive. I mean, that's it for 3. Yeah, so it's you may be the most prepared team in the world. And had all these games, but if something wrong happens the week before, it just throws everything out the window, and it's easy to complain, or it sucks. There's no way around it, but it is what it is. And again, those advantages and disadvantages, I think, can swing fairly quickly through this period, and even who knows what's going to happen over the next 8 months.
So in your mind, knowing that NCAA season for women finishes middle of May, something like that, usually, right?
Yeah.
And right now there is uncertainty, like if there will be NCAA at all. What would you rather have? Would you have players, play NCAA right before the Olympics, and this whole situation, like with COVID, like a break, or not?
Well, we typically, if anyone knows our system, we typically don't let our athletes play overseas or in college the year leading up to the Olympics. So, we just kind of believe in kind of training together and making, not to say that's always going to be the case, but so I'd always prefer still to just be together. I think that's incredibly valuable for us, especially with the talent that we have in our pool. And I think you bring up a good point that I think it's important for me to address, and that's we talk about advantages and disadvantages. I think really the biggest issue is going to be not necessarily on the senior national team level, but on the development side. So when I think about being disadvantaged, I think about us as a country, the United States, on the younger levels and what it's going to do for the next year, 2 years, 4 years down the line, because our young kids haven't done anything for 9 months. So during that time, obviously they're not developing. Some of them are deciding to leave the sport, which is obviously frightening for all of us. And that's probably my biggest concern. I'm not so concerned about our senior national team, but more the future of the development of the best players in our sport in our country.
That's a great point. Definitely, there were some researches, how many young athletes are leaving the sport overall, let alone water polo, but sport overall, and they're choosing, something else because this is like 9-10 months, like of completely different life. And in the stage of young human being, like that could be really, really important. And that's scary, definitely scary. Great point, Adam. Then what do you think about the injuries in this whole situation? You mentioned I think 3-4 months, 5 months, without any training, just Zoom calls, and those kind of things, as everybody was doing. And then getting back into training, then Adam mentioned for a month and a half or 2 months, like a little bit of training, then August was off or something like that, similar, like one period of time off, then back again into training, like what do you think about injuries, and how likely, it could be that after this big break, injuries can be a huge disadvantage to any team?
I think that my team is behind that right now. I think that from that point we are, as I said, starting from July, when we open the topic to try to send as much as we can players abroad, and I repeat several times to the players, what was the program, what is the plan for upcoming weeks. I mean, July and August, I said to everyone, right now, most concerning, what is our goal to do everything what we can in the upcoming, let's say, that moment, 45 days, to prepare you and protect you that you will not get injured when you go to Europe as soon as possible. So this is our, it was our main goal. There was no thinking about developing the players in that moment. There was no thinking, of course we did some drills and exercises, because the practice will be monotone, but the main goal, as I said, was to protect the players, and to avoid injuries in upcoming months when they're gonna be in Europe. So right now we had just one, injured, but this is not injured. There's a fracture from the bone, but it's healing well, and he will probably will be, in upcoming, week or less, be able to, to return back to the normal practice. So unfortunately, his injury was, mechanical one, but you cannot avoid this. But as I said, that's the threat, and that's the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue, not just for the senior players. It's also what Adam just mentioned. For the pipelines, for the development, for the young kids. You cannot just immediately start where you stopped. That must be some kind of period that you will be able to prepare the bodies of the athletes for some for some extra games, some extra stronger practice, for everything. So but I just think right now that I must say, from my perspective, for us right now, the most important thing is majority of players are in the pool. So as Elvis said, this is the way it is. If we will not be able to play international games, that's it. We will do our best where we are for each of our teams. So we will not think about what happened 2 years ago and what should happen in 2 years from now. So right now we are living in present, and we are trying, each of us, to do what is the best for our team, including everything, including protect them, develop them, ensure them, build the team and motivate them. Motivation right now is up and down, depends on the weeks, so our motivation of the players, and we are in a situation that I must say that for our players, for my players playing the games, it's really helped us. It's really helped us. It's helping us.
That was my actually next question for you, and for Elvis as well. In this, we're talking about everything we discussed right now. It's mostly negative, unfortunately. But that's the. I really didn't want this call to go into this direction, but it just unavoidable.
So I don't think so. I think I said we get the pool and we are practicing. So
yeah, it's all about the perspective. Yes. Yeah. But how do you motivate the players? Because this is it's really hard. It's really hard, to motivate the players, especially in those first 3 or 4 months. After that, it was a little different, but now again, it looks like we're going down again. The whole world. How do you motivate? How do you motivate players? To stay on track. And do the things. And be positive in their mind. Because you're a positive person.
I think it's right now. It's it's for general, and I think it's two thinking. Two direction in thinking. One is to stay healthy. This is most important thing. Another thing is, we all of us are in this sport long time. Right now we are how many? 8 months from Olympics, but for us, if we are looking, where we are and where is the Olympics is behind the corner. So the Olympics will come very quickly. So we don't have so many days, to do nothing or to waste, So I think that my team and my players and everyone who is including in my team, we understand and we are following that, and I'm pleased that I'm saying that we're on the same page. So, commitment to all my players for doing everything what is necessary to prepare themselves for the Olympics as much as they can. It's on high level. So I'm thinking each coach will say to you the same thing, because Olympics are huge, and probably this Olympics we remember more than any Olympics in the history of the sports. So we will see. So all of us are hoping for the good, for the best. And as I said, most important thing that the players remain healthy. So.
Okay, Elvis, what about you? How do you motivate your players? Because Dejan's players are most of them in Europe and currently playing or not playing, like maybe for 2-3 weeks, month, but they're in some kind of process, and there's some kind of games. How do you motivate your players?
So first of all, it's important to know that the players in Australia, their majority, they're amateurs. They just have a pure passion for this sport, and I believe in this situation this helps a lot. This helps a lot because probably first 3 months when we were in the contact all the time, but the less time we spent to talk about the water polo, because all of them, or they study or they have some work commitment or family obligations, so we talk more about all other things because we knew was the priority in that moment. About the motivation, I personally believe that even me as a coach, I can learn a lot from the players because first of all, our group is very strong as a group, and cohesion in the group is very strong, especially probably because in the last 2-3 years we deliver some good results, and then that build your confidence, and probably in the beginning there was a hesitation, doubt if the Olympics will go ahead or not. Now I think it's less that hesitation that the Olympics will probably go ahead, because we had some other sports they played, some of them with the spectators, some of them without. But I really, and on this way, for sure that we lost also 1 or 2 players who hesitate, are they want to sacrifice or not, because is there any value in that to sacrifice for another year? But absolutely 98% of the team is still here, very motivated. And the great thing is that we have players, who can see their new chance to be part of the Olympic team, and absolutely they're challenging all the others, and that's something what you as a coach wants to see. So absolutely for me, especially because my background is a little bit different. I'm coming from Europe as well, and then it's some kind more of the professional club system. But it's really amazing to see this group of the players, and motivation. I can say it's not the problem here for sure. So that's, to be honest, that's some kind of my answer. And also it's very important that we have that strong leadership group of the couple older players, and they keep that communication between them. Even our captain is in Italy, and but really they are such a strong as a group, and I could say that was probably the smallest issue in all this period for us. Absolutely in the beginning, yes, because it was even less knowledge about all these things, but now as the time going, absolutely there's no problem.
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. And really something positive to see. Out if all this situation going on. But at the beginning of this pandemic, so let's say March, and more specifically, from the moment that IOC announced, that there will be no Olympics in 2020, they're postponing for a year. The question in my mind, but I'm sure in everyone's mind, who is involved in sport, was what will happen with older players who planned, to retire, let's say 2020 after the Tokyo Olympics. Are they going to be able to prolong for 1 more year, which is quite a lot? That goes, to that mental side as well. Or is it going to be bigger motivation for them? Or maybe, as I believe Adam mentioned, some new players, coming in and knocking on the door, who have a year and a half advantage, to develop more and get better, and stronger and older, and to take over the spot, of some other player who, in the case, of the Olympics, in 2020 would have been in the team. What is your opinion? Overall, in general, Elvis. Overall, in general, it doesn't have to be your team. Like in general, like in water polo.
Well, when we're talking about all the players, we can say like that's the main reason Olympic Games, but probably it's not, because that was some other things they have impact on that. But 2 our players, they postponed their wedding in that time, because all of them, they plan to have a wedding post Olympic Games in 2020, and also, according to our plan A, they organized the wedding for this year, for the next year. But of course, we are not anymore on the play A. As Dejan said, probably we are on plan E, and we're probably looking for the new ones. And but absolutely, as I mentioned before, that was in the beginning was because it wasn't sure are the games going to be postponed or canceled. And after all this, in the end of the day, we had the opportunity to see how the NBA run their competition, and probably they have more followers than any time before, because you didn't have any other entertainment with that, and the quality was quite good. So I believe that time is on our side, and again, I can say just from my point of view and from my my team and my players, that I just believe when we will be all together, that we will be very motivated, because we are in this moment, we are aware that we don't have a chance to play against someone in the close future. I'm talking about the next couple months, and that's why we want to create, and I'm hoping that's going to happen, that every training will be some kind of the Olympic game for us, because that's the only way how we can progress and do something better. So that's probably something what we will need to explore. This will be absolutely something for us, challenge, because you didn't have that kind of the challenge in the past. Now you have that. You need probably on some training to play different style of some different teams. If you will not be able to play against them, to try to play against different styles. So that's something what we will try to achieve in the next period. And as I said in the beginning of this meeting, that definitely this situation in Australia helping us, that we are allowed now more to travel, that the players are more able to travel from the state to states and to spend time with us. The only little issue at this stage, but I believe if the situation will progress as it is now, that we don't have access to the pool as we want. We also have a problem with the pools, because some pools, like in the school, or even we used in the past one excellent army pool. Majority of the school and involving also in that army pool, they are not open for external part. So we're just hoping that if situation will go ahead as it is now, that we'll have access to that, and that will definitely help us in our preparation.
Great, Arno. What do you think about this? How is that on the women's side? Are there any teams that have maybe a little older squad? Or is that going to help them? Is it going to be again advantage or disadvantage? For those teams on the women's side?
Well, I think it's difficult for me to see what happens in other teams. But if I look at our team, it's we have also a few players. They planned to quit the national team now to restart in a different career. They are. I think Elvis said the games. I think they focus on the games and the possibility to play these games, to go to the Olympics. That kept them in the team. I think they are focused on this. They want to play in the Olympic team, so they are still there. The advantages of this year is that a lot of our players, they also they can study now. Usually we are in a full-time program altogether in Zeist. We only practice. There's nothing else. No school, no work, nothing. And now this year they had the opportunity to play abroad, because I didn't want to keep them for 2 years in the Netherlands, and also the opportunity. And I planned this also in our training schedule, that they can do some study and some work. So I think the older players have now the opportunity to do both. They study, they start working a little bit and preparing the new step in life, and can still join our team. So this is, I think, an advantage. At the beginning of this period, this COVID period, it was hard for them because they were really insecure. They planned things. I have two players. They want to go to work for the state police. They have to do this training year, and they have to postpone everything for 1 year. And I wasn't sure if they could still join the police squad. So this moment was really difficult. But now everybody arranged their things. We have now the only team from here in January. Very important moment. And from that point on, it's clear for them. Or we don't qualify and they can make the next step. A few of them will probably quit the team or leave the team, and or we qualify, and then everybody is focused on that. So it's not it's for the moment it's not an issue anymore in our team. And if I look at the other teams, I think the problem will be in our national leagues, in the clubs. I think there will probably be players. They didn't play now for 4 or 5 months, and they might be or in their final season. I think it can be if they're in January, they restart the championship, that a few of these players will not start again, and then this is the bigger problem, I guess. And that's the negative part of this year.
Yes, definitely. Elvis mentioned something about NBA and the competition, in a bubble, like everything else. And I think it's now that it seems that Olympics are going to happen, or it's more certain, like at least based on press releases, from IOC and from IOC president, which are pretty optimistic, I would say, in last month. It looks like Olympics will happen. We just don't know which way. There is a possibility, and something that everybody thinks of playing Olympics without the spectators. How do you feel, Arno, about that possibility? How would that affect the team? Would the whole experience, of the Olympics, would it be the same? And all the questions, that are connected to that crowd, like an atmosphere, like at the Olympics.
Well, I think we have. There's no player in my team who have the experience to play the Olympic Games. So this is they cannot compare it with another Olympic Games. But my experience is, and my feeling is, that the real Olympic experience will not be the same. Definitely not. The connection with the crowd, the connection with a lot of Dutch people who following the Olympic team every time will not be there. And this is something what. For our little sport in the Netherlands, water polo, the moment of the Olympic Games is the moment to be there, to have some attention from media, to have attention from supporters in the Netherlands, and this will be totally different for this Olympics. But if the situation is like this, everybody will be happy that the Olympics will go on, and that they can play and participate in this huge championship. But today, in the Dutch newspapers, was that Japan will allow foreign supporters, foreign people to travel to Tokyo to visit the Olympic Games. They have to show, I think, a negative test, and then they can enter the country. So maybe it's not an issue anymore, and it's possible to have pretty normal Olympic Games, as it looks like.
As normal as possible in this situation, yes.
Yeah,
definitely. Adam, in this regards, and as Dejan said, there are some optimistic prognosis, in the near future, vaccine is coming. I even read, that I think Health Minister of the United States said that likely as of December 10th, some groups, like in the United States, will start being vaccinated. UK also approved this Pfizer vaccine. I think yesterday or today. Russia, I believe, already started, with some vaccination. Do you think that vaccine or vaccination will be a requirement to participate at the Olympic Games?
Dr. Krikorian here speaking. I don't think so. I think I actually read something somewhere where a Japanese IOC official said that they don't think that would be a requirement. I think first of all, I think we're all very, very fortunate. I mean, when this came out in March, bring a little bit of positivity here. When this thing came out in March and it got postponed, I think we all thought it was not gonna happen. I think we're in a point now where we all really believe it actually is going to happen. So that is enormously positive, and we are so fortunate that the Japanese are the ones that are hosting this Olympic Games. Because if it were any other country, I'm not quite sure that it would get done. But I don't know if there's a better country in the world that can host an Olympic Games and be so disciplined and diligent about making sure that this happens. And I think we should all be very thankful for the Japanese and the work that they put in and the extra money that they're putting forth to make sure that this happens. So for their sake, I hope it ends up working out. The vaccine, obviously, it's a lot of good news. I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries. There's a lot of talk here about only 50% of the American people would take a vaccine. It's certainly exciting and positive. The spectator issue certainly wouldn't be the same. However, even just watching the NBA, as you mentioned, Dragan, and seeing them compete, I mean, it still was a big effing deal, right? I mean, they were still playing and playing hard and competing. I think at the end of the day, the greatest athletes are the ones you get into that arena, and it doesn't matter who's playing. If you're playing with the people that you really love, then you're enjoying the competition. I think it'll still be pretty awesome for me, and just my own personal experience. I wasn't as good of an athlete as all the rest of these guys on the call, but as a coach and going to the last two Olympic Games, the spectators are certainly cool. But to me, the coolest thing is just being in the Olympic Village and surrounded by the other best people in the world at what they do, whether they're coaches or athletes or staff members. I mean, that's not going to go away. So that's the coolest part. And that's something I think we all, Arno's got to earn his way to get the opportunity to do it. But, I think we're all looking forward to that chance again.
Arno will have a chance pretty soon. And I'm pretty sure, he will use the chance. Good luck, Arno. Yes, that is very true. When you mentioned, this is so it is exactly as you said. The biggest part, of the Olympic Games is that feeling, kind of vibe, inside of Olympic Village, which doesn't include any spectators. Actually, it's just athletes, and staff, so. I believe the same, that could be the same thing. So from that perspective, yes, that's very positive, and we should also thank, the Japanese organizing committee, and the government, and everybody else, and that's another way of looking at it. I quite honestly, I didn't look at it as you did, but you're completely right, in that segment. What's the Adam? What is the latest word, let's say, from I don't know, USOC? I'm pretty sure you have, if not daily, probably weekly or bi-weekly communication, with people from USOC. Are they mentioning some kind of bubble? Are they mentioning bubble? In Japan, prior to the games, or are they mentioning bubble? At home, they're flying there, or any other possibility, that is out there right now.
I honestly, I actually did receive somewhat of a report that I haven't read through yet, to be perfectly honest. But you know, the little bit that I've heard is that it's certainly going to look different, and they're going to have to put a lot more restrictions and protocols that are going to be in place to try to keep everyone safe. And you know, what exactly that looks like, but I would imagine, you know, just you know, their concern is just keeping the athletes healthy and safe. So what happens even in the village in terms of entering and exiting and temperature checks and contact tracing and you know, maybe even certain protocols in terms of mask wearing and so on and so forth. I mean, I would imagine we all need to kind of expect a high degree of specificity on all those things. But who knows? We're gonna learn more. And just going back to the positivity side, you know, this has given us hopefully all a chance to kind of reevaluate, you know, where sport and water polo fits in our lives, and how lucky we are to participate in such a thing. And if we get an opportunity to play in an Olympics and our sport is showcased, then we all need to take advantage of it and revel in it. And I look forward to, as I said to Elvis, actually, I think in a group of coaches on the text chain a few days ago, I'm already kind of looking forward to 2022 because I think we can do some cool things as an organization. I don't know what Fina has planned, but I'm looking at World Championships in May, and then I think European Championships in August or in September of 2022. So we have some cool time in the summer months. No offense to New Zealand and Australia and those Southern Hemisphere countries, but we may have a really cool opportunity and to really kind of celebrate our sport and organize something that they can kind of showcase it in a year and a half. I know it's kind of long-term thinking, but it's never too early to start thinking along those lines.
Definitely, and we'll try. This is more, I would say, for Fina. You know, Fina people, you know, to find out, you know, what they're planning. You know, how they see the future of the sport and their vision. And we're hoping that we're going to get a couple of Fina people on this kind of webinar in the near future. Dejan and Elvis, there is a question from one of the participants for both of you. Do you think that the lack of proper training and preparation is going to affect the level of competition in Tokyo? Is it going to lead to a rather static and less mobile style of playing? Dejan, let's start with you.
I don't think so. I think, and I'm hoping that each of us gonna succeed to prepare our team much as we can, you know, for that moment. So I'm not expecting that's gonna happen. So it's a logical question, there is no doubt, but I'm just thinking that each of us, you know, will succeed to prepare the team in a way how we want to run the game. So, but you know, we talk a lot tonight, you know, for Elvis in the morning, you know, and for Adam during the day. So I think that right now IOC is still, you know, as we are considering several options, several plans, you know, they are considering also several plans that what can play out, you know, especially after, you know, March, April. And each of us should be ready, you know, not just our sport, each sport should be ready to act immediately and transform and change their plans if we need to change their plans, our plans. So I directly answer my question is, I don't think so, you know. I don't think that, you know, that a lot of things going to change, you know. I'm hoping that spectators will be allowed to be present during the games. I don't know if that will be a possibility for a full house, but I'm hoping to see them. by the Polo.
Okay. Elvis, what about you? What do you think about the game and
Same. Definitely, we will not have a lack of training. We will have enough training, so players will come fit. That for sure. Maybe lack of the games, which is a different problem. We already discussed about that, but about the style of the game, because question was for Dejan and me. As I know, both our teams, they're everything but not static. And I know maybe Dejan has a new secret for the Olympics. We will see that in July. But I don't believe that will be the static, because that will be disadvantage for both of our teams.
That's definite. That's definite. I don't know. What do you think about it, Adam, as well? I don't know. Let's start with you. On the women's side, is that going to is the lack of games, let's say, or lack of training, going to affect the game, and make it more static, because we know that Fina changed the rules, like recently, a couple of years ago. So is that going to affect, the whole intention of the rule changes?
No, I don't think so. The fitness of the players will remain good. There's no lack of training, so everybody's fit. And I also think that when we restarted playing games, the first few games in the Trieste, we can use as a preparation for the semi-final. And I think if we play 4 or 5 games again, then we will be back on track. This counts for everybody. I don't think it will change a lot that this year there weren't so much games. The first few games again will be different, but after that it's back to normal.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I don't think I hope not. Maybe a tad, but I think we'll be okay. A good question would be maybe for the referees as well, because I know even on a personal level, like one of our first times back, getting up and down and scrimmaging, and I was officiating, and everything seemed to be happening very quickly. Next thing I know, like I got people wrestling and fighting, and I didn't even know what was going on. So I think it may be more difficult for the officials, and they already have a difficult job to kind of sort through what can be chaotic at times in our sport. So that'll be interesting.
Adam, another question from one of the people who join us, one of the coaches who join us on this webinar. How have you changed your coaching focus? Have you had an increased focus on strength conditioning, or lane swimming? Perhaps players may be stronger or fitter, even if less game sharp. So what can you say about that?
Yeah, I think there has been some positives in this, at least for us, in that we definitely spent more time. We spent more time just doing the non-contact stuff, and so you got to be creative to come up with certain drills. And we haven't done more swimming, or we haven't done more strength training, but we've done, if we've done anything more, it's just been more passing and shooting. So just the vertical game is something that we've worked on quite a bit, and those who have really kind of dove into it, I think have seen some significant improvements, which has been exciting to see. I think that's the biggest area of weakness, and because of these little small groups, I think we caught on to something that we may even change moving forward, is that we've had to go in these small groups to lessen the size, and it's been really enjoyable, actually. So often we're coaching a team of 20 people, and you can't give necessarily the attention that you want to give to each athlete, and in these smaller groups, it's been fun. There's a little bit more focus, a little bit better concentration, and a little bit more attention from us to them. So that's something I think that moving forward, we may even adjust slightly into our typical training plan to allow for a little bit more of the smaller working groups. You're muted, Dragon.
Oops, sorry. Thanks, Adam. Just one more question for each of you. It's the same question for each of you, and then we can wrap it up. I think this would be enough, for this moment. How is the budget affected in this through this whole pandemic? Of course, we're talking about the training opportunities. We're talking about game opportunities. We're talking about development. We're talking about mental side, and motivation, and everything else. Budget is, as I would say, equally important, to all of these other segments that we discussed. So let's say, Adam, you just finished, so your mic is not muted.
Yeah, that is the scary part of this. We're USA water polo has certainly been hit, and it's taken a bit of a blow. Luckily, I think we have built a good foundation that's allowed us to continue to move forward. But the organization has been hit. It may affect us a little bit, but we're very fortunate that they are supporting us fully moving forward into next year. We are extremely lucky that the USOPC has committed to the same levels that they've committed to us for next year as well. And we've also been very fortunate to have one or two people that have been very, very generous with their dollars and resources to help us do some extra things. So we are, I think, one of the fortunate ones. I don't know if everyone is the same. I almost just hope that we can put in the program that will allow us to use those resources. I think that's the bigger issue. And then just long term, I think that's a little bit more of the concern, not next year, but how the budget impact this year and next year, how it impacts 2022 and 2023 and 2024. I think we could see some long-term negative impacts possibly.
Definitely. Then same organization, different team. How did the whole situation affect your budget, your team's budget?
We're in the same situation, so I agree with Adam, so we were hit for sure. There is no doubt about it, like everyone else, we are trying to do what we can do our best in these circumstances, I'm just hoping that will not hit us for a long term, so at least that we can, with the help from USOPC or with our friends and who is helping us a lot, that we will do everything what we plan for upcoming months, but for sure I'm worried about 2022 and 2023 right now. So I will see, each of us are hoping that everything from a financial part will settle as quickly as possible, but nobody knows right now. So maybe a realistic answer we can give to you maybe end of the next year or beginning of 2022.
Okay. Elvis, you?
But probably I can say the same thing. So we have a guaranteed budget till the next year, and also probably we saved some money last year because everything started. Actually, this year because everything started in March, so we didn't spend on the trips and overseas, and so from that point of view, probably we have some kind of a safe situation till the Olympic Games, but post that time it's also like a big question mark, and I can say that probably us, especially men's side, hit us much more one referee's mistake in 2019 than COVID-19. So that's the fact, but we know also that the budget generally is based on the results, so we know what we have to do. It's very, very simple, but as all of them say, probably on the long term, the biggest impact all this situation will have on the development program, because unfortunately we can see even now in Europe, let's say that some first divisions they are allowed to play, but kids are not allowed to play, and probably on the long term we can we will see the impact of those situations in the close future.
Thank you, Elvis. Arno, what about you?
No, for us, the funding of our program is based on the Olympic Committee, and they are still supporting at least until the Olympics. So that's good. We have one sponsor, and he's still supporting us. He is even if the company is in trouble sometimes, but this guy is still supporting us. So for now, for this year, I have no scare that we are in trouble. The federation in the Netherlands is different organized than the others. There's the swimming federation, so we have more disciplines in one federation, and within the federation there's a big problem going on. Their sponsors are leaving. They are not rejoining after the 2020 Olympics, what it's supposed to be. So the federation, I think, is in trouble now, and I'm not sure how it will be next year and the years after. We are also depending on the memberships of all the clubs are a member of our federation, and all these water polo players or swimmers, whatever, they are also a member of the federation, and they pay money for this. So we also see that we lose some members, and the people are leaving our sports. So this can be a serious problem in the next years. But for now on, this is for us. The funding is there, the budget is there for this summer, for the senior team and for the women, for the junior teams. It's different on the men's side. For this year, there's also, it looks like they can do their preparations. They have the qualifications in February in Rotterdam for the Olympics. They hope they qualify, of course, and then they can follow that program. But their program was based on sponsors, and they lose a few sponsors now. So they, on their side, they have to see what we have to see, because it's also part of our federation, and we have to see how we can reorganize this program. So this is a little bit situation in the Netherlands.
Definitely, what I'm hearing, like this year and next year, 2021 will be okay because of the Olympics, and commitment, from either governments or sponsors or Olympic committees, like so. But the issue will be development. The issue will be after Olympics, and the issue possibly will be on the club level, which is all eventually coming to the senior level. All of those players, which is really unfortunate. And Arno, you mentioned something, I totally agree with that. Structure of the federations likely will have to change the focus, and to think out of the box, and try to create more and more opportunities for making their own dollars, than depending on governments, and sponsors, and the Olympic committees, because as we could see in this whole pandemic, when it comes to this crisis, there are many things, which are more important than a sport, like health, like taking care of safety, like taking care of the people. So, but anyway, I want to thank all of you for participation and for being with us. It's been quite I would say, fun, like hour and a half, and listening to you guys, and your thoughts. I really appreciate that. We'll try to continue with this webinar as often as we can, and want to wish good luck to Arno, especially in a month and a half, to qualify for the Olympics, and to everybody else, at the Olympics. So thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Arno, good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, Arno.
Hope to see you in Tokyo.
See you earlier, probably.
Ciao, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ostali Balkanci.